a lot of customers always questioning, why do I need to have cybersecurity? Why do we need to protect our data? And so forth. So I'm going to turn it to David just to tell us a little bit about himself and just background, and we'll take it from there. David?
Thank you, Ayman. Happy to be here. It's my pleasure to sit down and have a conversation about information security. As you can imagine, having done it for as long as I have, I'm fairly passionate about it. Hopefully I wouldn't be here if I didn't like what I was doing and have a passion to do it. To your point, I've been doing security for a while. I started in the Air Force a very long time ago, back when I had hair and didn't have wrinkles under my eyes. And I love what I do, right? I love, I love talking to people, but B, taking complicated security ideas and turning them into products and methods and opportunities for our customers to get really great products at a price that's affordable that they can put into their environment and ultimately help protect them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, David, the biggest challenge we have as an MSP, that when we talk to the customers, clients, and try to advise them about cybersecurity, and the question that comes up, why do I need to worry about information security? You know, it's like, I know that we're talking about small businesses, small, medium-sized businesses. They don't believe that, you know, they need to protect their information. So can you elaborate more on that, please?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. And, you know, sometimes they even think, and they have an expectation that you're already doing that for them, right? Because they might have a firewall and they might have antivirus and they think that's good enough. But it's easy to sit back and look at history and look at all of the breaches that have happened in the last 10 years and say, if the firewall was good enough, why do we have these issues? If antivirus was good enough, why is ransomware effective? And to those customers who say, why do I need security in general? You know, one of the questions I always lead with is how long can you afford to not be in service, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
you're a dentist office and you can't see patients, or you're a financial advisor and you can't get into your system, so you can't see customers, so you can't help them with their financial issues. At the end of the day, everyone has some type of data, whether it's healthcare or patient records or credit data or whatever, that they have to protect, right? There's something about what they do that is unique. And that uniqueness is what the bad guys are going to try to exploit and get at. And so, you know, I live here in Nashville. There was a small dentist office just up the street with 6 chairs, so not very big. And they got hit with ransomware, right? And before they got hit, they would ask that same question: why do I need security? And after they got hit, and they went weeks without being able to bill a patient, without being able to pay, without being able to get to their financial systems, that the realization struck that I do need to invest in protecting my investment, right? I've got to protect what's important. And that's typically how I answer that question.
I see. Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you. You're correct. I mean, that's the main important point and the core of the business is the data. And a lot of people do not believe that, you know, we have a data that we need to protect. And when you tell them, okay, you know, like healthcare, you have patients' information, you have your employee information, this is critical data that needs to be protected. And the point is, they believe that, you know what, okay, yeah, I have an antivirus. As you mentioned earlier, they believe that you have antivirus, or they believe they have that firewall, and that's it. We are protected and nothing gonna happen. They don't know that we are on a different era today of cyber attacks, that, you know what, they need to step up and look at different technology to protect them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So what is like like right now, because you are in the technology. So what is the biggest cyber threat today?
I think it's very similar to what we talked about just a few minutes ago around ransomware, right? But I think that the underlying root cause of ransomware, while there are adversaries who are trying to get into your network and force you to pay and do some of those things, the root cause of that is not the bad guy, but it's the person who's clicking on links. It's the installing software or downloading something from a website that they shouldn't. And so I think our biggest threat is the same one we had 10 years ago, which is educating our employees, because they're our first line of defense. Even if we've got firewalls and IDS and proxy devices and email gateways and lots of tools, it takes one employee who may be wanting to do the right thing, clicking on a link or downloading a file or forwarding an email, right? Or whatever. And so I still believe our biggest risk is our people, but it's our biggest opportunity as well, right? So I think we have to invest in their knowledge, invest in their ability to discern, this email looks a little funny, maybe I shouldn't click on it, right? But I think once you move beyond the internal employee, what's the next biggest threat? It's organized crime, it's state actors who are using ransomware to either get money or steal information.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, both of those two categories of crime are where we're seeing most of the uptick.
Correct. And I agree. Actually, this is very important point. Basically, the employee awareness, that all the employees should be aware. Should we have some sort of educational training material to let the employee know which email? And that's the biggest challenge. The phishing emails. It's one of the most dangerous attack today. Now, the other thing that I always see, not in the small or medium-sized companies, I see it on even larger companies, that these companies, they don't have any visibility about what's going on with their network.
That's right.
So the question is, how can we detect? How they can detect if there's such an information, such an attack, such a successful cybersecurity attack within their network?
Visibility has been, the top 3 or 4 things that the CISOs I've talked to around the globe have been asking for. They need to see what's happening in their environment. And, that when we let off earlier with firewalls and AV is enough, right? Those 2 things don't provide much visibility. And so at the end of the day, you've got to be able to see what's happening from the endpoint all the way through the network to the server, out to the internet, and then everything in between. And most organizations haven't invested enough to do those things, right? And so what's happening with a company like ours is we've built some technologies that are affordable that you can deploy into those organizations and start to get visibility, start to see what's happening. And a lot of times it's not even we're seeing bad things, we're seeing misconfigurations, right? We're seeing deployments of technologies that aren't done right that we can help them understand so they can go fix it. Long story short, we had a customer that had a DNS entry that was wrong, and we kept seeing traffic going back and forth between 2 DNS servers internally. And I sent an email. I said, look, you've got this problem. You need to fix it. And they fixed it, and their network got faster, right? It was magical. But without visibility, to your question, I wouldn't see those things. And our customers don't have, in most cases, the knowledge and the skill and the tools to detect it themselves.
Yeah, and talking about tools and the right actually tools. I know that in the market there's so many tools today, but the latest technology I can see, there's something called the XDR. I mean, I know, and we've been helping customers with EDR, MDR, and now we have something called XDR. which is the extended detection
Response.
and response. And I know Highwire Networks is one of the companies that provide the XDR. So why don't you tell us a little bit about XDR and
Sure.
what is the difference between XDR, EDR, and so forth?
And even MDR, right? So
And MDR.
the truth is you've had an evolution of idea. You've had endpoint detection and response, and to be honest, McAfee and EPO is really where all that started. They had a leg up on everybody. But what McAfee struggled with and some of those other vendors is it was all vendor specific, meaning if I had a customer that had McAfee and it worked great, but if you had Sophos or Trend Micro or something else, or other security components that weren't tied into EPO, then that EDR approach failed, right? So EDR is great if all you have is Palo Alto. It's a great idea. But as soon as you throw in a Cisco email gateway or a WebSense proxy or something else, and yes, I know it's not WebSense anymore, ForcePoint proxy, the EDR falls apart. So then you had partners starting to build out MDR, right? Managed detection and response. And even those, to some extent, have a very limited skill set of technologies that they'll manage for you. So if you wanted an MDR vendor to come in and manage your network and monitor, manage, detect, and respond, you would have to have their sets of technologies that they knew. So if you weren't 100% on their list, then those technologies they wouldn't touch. So you still have a visibility gap. With XDR, we said, look, we know you need full detection and response. We don't care what the data coming in is from. We don't care who the vendor is. It's open XDR, open X being all data, detection and response. And so the beauty of that is when we come into your organization or any other XDR vendor, they drop their technology in place and they start to ingest your existing investment, but then they give you additional visibility, or not just on your Blue Coat proxy, but also on your Palo firewall and also on your Sophos endpoint, right? They start to correlate, and that's where Open XDR thrives, right? We don't have a single customer. In fact, I would bet anybody that listening on this call will tell you they don't have a single customer that is 100% one vendor. If they do, they probably should change, right? Because you're relying upon, you got one vendor, all your eggs are in one basket, that kind of conversation. So you've got to have a partner who can bring in Palos, Checkpoint, Cisco, Fortinet. We don't care. We normalize that data. We turn it into a firewall application data stream, and we start to build detections and profiles and responses across all of those technologies. That's the XDR idea. And that's really what we do here at Overwatch.
Nice. Yeah, definitely, I agree. I mean, that's what we do. Actually, we advise our clients. So today there is no such one tool that can protect your environment and protect your data from a cyber attack. You need to have a stack. We have a full stack of tools between like DNS, or email protection, encryption, and so forth, and visibility to be able to see what's going on in the network and protect the client. So now I need to jump another question, which is, I believe a lot of customers, they say, okay, do we need to have kind of like a cybersecurity expert on our staff, or do we need to have maybe like consultant, cybersecurity consultant? So today, what do you think? What do you answer with that for this question?
So, one of the reasons we built Overwatch is there's three business problems that we look to solve, right? One is there's too many technologies, and with XDR we help solve that problem. There's too much data, right? XDR also helps solve that problem with the normalization and the deduplication, and a lot of the things we do. But the third one is there's not enough security practitioners. We can't find them. And if we do find them, they're too expensive. So what we built was a managed security operations center in Batavia, Illinois, that has the people, right? You have a team of consultants who are watching that visibility we talked about 7x24, and they're responding with that XDR approach to active threats in your environment. So, do I recommend people hire security practitioners? Yes. The challenge is finding good ones that know what they're doing, that you can afford. And those are tough, right? I'm not going to tell you it's easy, because it's not. So I think that's where we come in and help bridge that gap from a business process, a business problem perspective. Is we're going to give you some of the best trained people at an affordable price that's delivering, best in class products.
Yes, you're right. I mean, they're not available. They're so expensive. So basically, it doesn't make any sense for a small, medium-sized company to
No.
hire a cybersecurity expert on staff, where you can have a consultant or a company, MSP, like us or somebody like you, wherever we come, and we overlook all their environment.
That's right. Yep.
We monitor 24/7 because we have that capability, and we can provide them with the right tools.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, and so I have one more question, last question, and I don't know about your time, but I do appreciate this. Lots of customers, they don't have cybersecurity insurance today, and I hear a lot of people talking about, why do I need cybersecurity insurance? Why do I need to have cybersecurity insurance? And when we approach a customer, we tell them like, what? Here's the thing. If we're going to manage your environment, we are taking it from A to Z, because, we're going to have full liability on your environment. And if anything happens, we have to take everything actually back to our insurance, because before we claim anything, we need to have everything in the list. We have to provide them with all the evidence, all the documents that we're doing the right thing. And they say, oh no, we don't have to have like a cybersecurity insurance, or you do. So we go through that, try to advise them and educate them about cybersecurity insurance. So what can you tell us about this?
So I've had people ask that question as well, right? And I always lead back with, do you have car insurance? Right? Do you have health insurance?
Of course.
Do you have renter's insurance? And we have these things for the hope of one day not needing them. But on the off chance you do, right? On the off chance you live in California and you've got an earthquake hits and you don't have insurance, all of your investment is gone. And so cyber insurance is good in that it'll help you recover, right? And frankly, if you can't recover, right, again, and this is very similar to the conversation we had about why do you need security in the first place? If you can't recover your business operations because you don't have cyber insurance, then you can't bill, you can't generate revenue, you're going to end up letting your people go, you're going to lose customers. In a lot of cases, those mid-market SMB companies are going to fail, right? They're going to have to close their doors. So I'm not suggesting you go get a $10 million policy, but as a matter of due diligence in terms of protecting your business, cyber insurance is just as important as sexual harassment liability insurance, or whatever, I forget what it's called, but effectively insurance to protect your company, right? So I think it's critical. Now, having said that, there's a double-edged coin in that, right? Remember when I don't know if you have a son. I have a son who's 23, and when he hit 16 and he got a license, my auto insurance almost doubled, right? Because they have actuarial tables that say a 16-year-old kid is expensive to insure. So a 16-year-old boy, a male. Cyber insurance does some of those same type of tables, only they ask questions like, What's your security policy look like? Oh, wait, all you do is antivirus and firewall? Well, your rates are going to be higher than the people next to you who are also doing proxy and other tools, encryption that are protecting the data, right? So getting it's great, but understanding that when you go after that cyber insurance policy, they're going to ask you questions that you have to be able to answer. And companies like yours can help get them to where those premiums are cheaper than that 16-year-old boy that you just put on your auto policy.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Well, I mean, you know what? The conversation is very exciting here, and those questions are very important. However, I mean, I know that the time is over here, and we have to wrap up here. But I would like maybe some other time, David, to have another
Absolutely.
conversation. And I would like to remind everybody that we have a webinar coming up actually on the 10th, Tuesday next week, and also Highwire Network going to be our guest on that webinar when we will discussing different topics as well. So join us for that webinar, and I do appreciate everyone. David, I do appreciate your time, and thank
Anytime.
you very much for joining this talk today.